Hey guys, Steeble here. Today we're going to be talking about how to play cruisers. I got a game in the Algerie for you. Rue on the screen here. Take a look at the perks. We got Ingenious, we got Speed, we got Steering Gears and Steering Gears, I believe, or maybe there's two speeds, whatever it is. The only offensive-minded perk we have on the build is Norm Scott as an inspiration. Increases our long-range accuracy, because as you'll see in this game, we want to be shooting long-range shots. Makawa enhances the concealment. Makawa is an extremely valuable inspiration for cruisers. If you're serious about cruisers, I would put a lot of points into Makawa. Number one, he's a very good Japanese cruiser commander. He was my preference until I got Atago, the Azure Lane anime commander. But he's also a valuable inspiration on every single cruiser line, potentially, if that's where you want to go with your build. So my recommendation for the majority of players, the vast majority of players who are getting better at cruisers, you're going to do a lot better with these defensive-minded commanders, because what the theory of cruisers is you do small chunks of damage over the course of the match. How do you do that? You got to stay alive. The problem with cruisers is these battleships can blow you out of the water very quickly. So we want to enhance the speed. We want to enhance the steering gears. The Ingenious, we'll explain it a little bit more. That tells you how many ships are targeting you at any given time. Extremely valuable information that'll inform what you want to do. First up, we're attacking the Molotov, and you can see before we are detected, we're already turning away from them. We're going to be talking a lot about two offensive strategies or techniques: kiting and cover. Kiting is sailing away from the enemy. I think strictly speaking, it's with the intention of drawing them away to get them to follow you. But you can use it interchangeably anytime you're sailing away from the enemy. Is basically you're kiting away from them. We'll talk about kiting more in the second half of the game, but that's an extremely valuable thing. But getting back to my point, we were already into our turn. We were already angled, sailing away from them before we were detected. Biggest problem I ever see cruiser players do, and I see it pretty much every game, they sail towards the ships they're attacking. You can very quickly spot a good cruiser player versus a bad cruiser player based on the direction they're going. So get in the habit of sailing away from them. That puts you in the driver's seat, and we're going to talk more about this concept as the game goes on. Shell selection, you can see, again, we don't have any AP offensive type boosters on this build, but long range shots against these cruisers at a broadside, popping them with AP. We got 7.5k damage so far. Now we got 24.5k, so that's a wicked salvo right there. AP into that broadside cruiser. And again, he did not complete that turn. He was not sailing away from us. That allowed us to access that citadel and wreck his game. Basically get ready to take him out very quickly. Now what happened to the detection icon? We're not detected. We're using cover. As a cruiser player, you always need to notice, are you detected or not? Anytime you're not, free shots. Byron's sitting out in the open. Boom. We shot. What's the odds he's going to shoot us back? 0. Rinse and repeat. We're going to keep doing this till he's dead. And using cover becomes easier as the game goes on because there's less ships out there that have potential lines of sight to you. You're going to be spotted less and less. You can park up and you can shoot. But again, we're in position to shoot. We're not so far back that we can't have shots at multiple targets. We got the Byron. We got a Queen Elizabeth slightly to his left coming to join. And we're in a good position here where we can be firing on reload and we cannot possibly be shot in return. This pisses players off. This causes them to go on Reddit and say cruisers suck. All they do is HE spam. There's no counterplay to this. It's very frustrating. You know, how you counter it, you need your teammates to spot me, then he can shoot me and sink me in one salvo. That's the counter. If your team's all going to be sitting in the back buffing to do it, there's no counter to this. You're going to die. So, again, we're not spotted. We're shooting on reload. We got the HE loaded. We're going to get 3, 4, 5k damage per salvo that hits the superstructure, which is what we're aiming for in HE. We got 5.5 there, plus we had a fire chance. If we get a fire, then we're going to get more damage. But again, this is sustained damage. Battleships, every time you pull the trigger, you might get 50k, you might get 1k. Cruisers, you might get 3k, you might get 1k, you might get 5k. But you're going to get the fire chance, and you got the quick reload, and you just keep pumping it out as long as you're not getting shot. We were spotted there, but we weren't targeted. What targeted means is you can see the Queen Elizabeth ship, that circle over his ship's icon. That means my gunners, my ship is targeting him. He's selected. Now, it says detected on my screen, as it will here shortly, I believe. but there's no 1, there's no 2. That's the Ingenious perk saying how many ships are targeting you. If there's no number there, then we know that nobody's selecting me. They're not aiming at me. Because if you have your main guns active and you're pointing at a ship, basically the game more or less automatically selects them. You can also manually select who you're targeting by R1 on PS. I think it's called right bumper on Xbox. But again, that's the Ingenious perk. The Ingenious perk is one of the strongest perks in the game, like the Twist and Track on destroyers. People vastly underestimate the value of these perks. If I know I'm not getting targeted, I can play differently. The minute I'm getting targeted, then I have to respond. I need to be moving. I need to be ready to dodge. So much, that's extremely valuable information. Again, why is this effective? Why is this cover effective? Because the Queen Elizabeth cannot start and stop as quickly as I can. If he creeps forward, I can creep backwards quicker than he can go forward. You know, I can much more easily control his ability to spot me than he can by me. You got to be using your cruiser's mobility vis-a-vis the battleships to dominate them. And this is how you do it. Again, we're spotted. Useful information, something we need to react to. We need to be ready to react in case we're targeted. But there's no little 1, there's no little 2 right next to it. And because we have Ingenious, we know we're not being targeted. There's the destroyer. We don't have a lot of opportunity in this match to talk about counter destroyers, but cruisers, one of the main goals, aside from doing sustained damage over time and staying alive, is countering destroyers. We get a long range shot off here. A lot of people wouldn't take that. We only hit him with 1 shell, but we whittled him down by 5-7% of his health, whatever it is. That helps our little Fubuki take him out. Now, the Gaidi will torp him in return, which is sad, but whatever. It's cruiser players. If you're not going to shoot destroyers, don't play cruisers. That's one of your main rules. If you're going to ignore it, you're a problem. You're a menace to your own team, so don't do that. Now we got the CNOP here. I can stop right where I am. He doesn't have a line of sight. The ships to my northwest are outside of my firing range, so I could utilize this cover as soon as this battleship near me pulls forward a little bit. He'll spot the CNOP, and then we can continue to bomb on him. But what we're going to do, we're going to transition more into an open water, flowing, kiting type of a situation. Now the CNOP, does he have his control in his hand? Does he have his Dewey? Undergoing a massive buffing at the moment. Who knows what he's doing? You can't really tell if he's AFK or if he's actually playing the game. But this is what a lot of Battleship players do. And these are the least valuable targets to kill because they're not actually affecting the game whatsoever. But eventually you're going to want to get to them. So anyway, again, we could be utilizing cover there. That's probably the stronger play. But we're undetected. We're turning away from them before we fire. Now that we're past the horizontal, we're full broadside, we're angling away. Now we fire our guns. Now we announce our presence. We can fiddle with the throttle, full throttle, 3/4, 1/4, throw off their aim. Oh, we're detected, or we're targeted. Mayoko pops up on the screen. His shots are in the air. That number, now we're targeted by 2 ships. But because we angled there, we turned before those AP shells from the Mayoko hit us, we did minimum damage. It doesn't look like it did any damage. So now we're controlling the engagement once again. Before we were controlling it by utilizing the vision, utilizing cover. Now we're kiting. He's 13 kilometers, let's say. When he shoots, his shells have to go 13.5 kilometers. Why is that? Because by the time they get to me, I've moved 0.5 kilometers further away from him. Meanwhile, he's coming towards me. It says 13 kilometers on the screen. By the time my shells get to him, he's going to be 12.5 kilometers away. So we're adding an extra kilometer of aiming difficulty to his shots, or technically half kilometer, I guess. But compared to the shots that we have to take, they're a full kilometer further away. And we can angle, we can control the engagement. If it gets hot, we can stop firing, go undetected, reposition, reevaluate, and so on and so forth. There we turn broadside just because I want to get back in a position to continue assaulting that CNOP once we've dealt with these low health threats. But you saw there when we were broadside, had that Pensacola head AP, could have been a massive damage shot, potentially even a devastating strike. So that's when you're at risk as a cruiser player in general. When you're broadside, if you're getting shot when you're broadside, you're going to die. So if there's one takeaway from this video that I want you to have, it's if you're fighting a ship who's firing back at you in a cruiser, you want to be sailing away from them. Do not be charging at them, especially a battleship. Now, we're charging at a battleship here, but number one, now that we're detected, we know we're not targeted because Ingenious doesn't say 1 next to that. And number 2, I zoom in on the guns, and that's just an insurance policy. If you don't have Ingenious, if you have more of an offensive commander build, you don't have that perk selected, then you need to be zooming on the guns to see if they're targeting you. Because if they are, then you need to be able to react. We need to dodge these shots. You cannot dodge battleship shots very effectively when you're 4 kilometers away from them. When you're 14 kilometers away from them, you got a long time to see those shots coming in. And again, we take the shot, then we zoom out because we want to be looking in the horizon to see if those shots are coming in through the air. Now again, we have Ingenious on this build, so we have assistance on knowing whether the shots possibly are or not. But if you have other commander builds, you're not going to have that information. You got to be reading the environment. So keep in mind, yes, we're moving towards these battleships, but we're doing so in a controlled manner. You see it once per game where one of your cruisers will charge a battleship. What they're trying to do, probably in their mind, they're trying to torp them, which is a dumb play. You need to stay away from battleships as a cruiser player. You want to be behind cover. You want to be at max range. It gives you much more time to react to that and control the situation. Torps, get them down. They're kind of a distraction factor, or potentially they might hit something, but that's not your main offensive weapon with these things. Your main offensive weapon is sustain damage by using your guns throughout the entire course of the battle. So anyway, that's the look at how to play cruisers. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Well, if you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. A lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. Peace.